Hi, my name is Jay Ashby, and we're here today talking about the infamous Jim Merod. I am very happy to be here as part of this festival at SOKA University. I've known of Jim for many years. We have a number of mutual acquaintances in the industry, and folks like Claudio Roditi, who we're here celebrating his 70th birthday, and many others. Folks like Jimmy Heath and Benny Golson, and a number of luminaries from the industry that Jim has been interacting with for many, many years. Jim called me a number of months ago when he decided to put this event together for Claudio to celebrate his birthday. He said, man, I have the recordings that you've made with Claudio, and talk, man, if Jim has the recording and he remembers it, it's always a good sign. And he invited me. He said, man, I'd love to have you here with Trio de Paz, who I know you've worked with for many years. I said, well, let's figure it out. Let's make it work. And we did, and I'm so happy. This was the first time, however, I've had the pleasure of meeting him in person. And from the first minute, man, it was like we're long-lost buddies. And the last few nights after rehearsal and after the concert last night, man, the stories that Jim has are just, so interesting. And he's such a character. And of course, the energy that he brings to conveying these stories. And I know many of the people that he's talking about in these stories, so I have a frame of reference, and man, it's so right on. The most beautiful part of all of it is when you're listening to these stories is you just realize, man, that this is one of the cats, man. He's one of the cats that has helped keep this music alive for the last 50 whatever years. And we need more people like Jim Merod. So we're going to keep trying to find him.
Hi, my name is Sofia. I'm a second-year student at SOKA. I also work here at the Performing Arts Center. This is my second year working here, and I'm backstage doing tech things, so fixing lights, doing sound. I had always been on the other side of the curtain growing up. I was a singer, or I still am. But when I came to SOKA, this was my outlet to doing music. I first saw Professor Jim Merod last year at the Jazz Festival, and he was just larger than life. He goes on stage and has this booming voice and immediately draws you to the show. So that's when I first encountered him, and then I started hearing his name over and over. He has quite the reputation on campus.
Hi, my name is Sam Morales, and I'm the production manager at SOKA Performing Arts Center. I've known Jim Merod for 14 years, and I've had the great pleasure of working very closely with him during that entire time. When I met Jim, I was very young professionally, very mature. I had a lot of growing up to do, and so much so that I didn't know how much growing up to do I had. And Jim saw something in me and took me under his wing and helped me to blossom as a professional, to learn to hone my craft and embrace it as my own art, my professional art. Here in the Performing Arts Center, as one of my responsibilities, along with being the production manager, is I'm the sound engineer for the hall. And when I met Jim, that was just an interest of mine, something I did on a very basic level. And thanks to his tutelage, his mentorship, and his endless patience, I was able to acquire the knowledge and the skill set to be able to perform at a very high level.
My name is Clint Burkett. I'm a documentary filmmaker and a video producer. I've been involved with making film probably since the 70s. Well, I met him through his lovely daughter, Karen. We were working together at a video production company. We were both freelancing there. He's probably one of the most profoundly deep and interesting people I know. And not only profoundly deep, but the guy is so full of passion about music, about jazz. That's what he lives, eats, and sleeps is jazz. I mean, he knows Quincy Jones, he hangs out with Herbie Hancock, I mean, and he's just a regular guy, but he's just full of life and love and laughter, and he makes you smile because he just has this infectious grin and has these stories that'll just blow your mind. I'm blessed to call him my friend. He's been like a mentor to me. He's given me opportunities to come to SOKA University and meet these incredible jazz, world-class jazz musicians, artists, and record them. And I make tribute documentaries about these people. He wrote this book on Benny Golson, who is a legend in the jazz world, jazz saxophone player. And I mean, he spent a long time writing this book, and I think it's going to be something else. But just introducing you to all these cats like Benny Golson or Gerald Wilson was here, and he grabbed Gerald Wilson. Gerald Wilson was 95 at the time, and he walked up to him and just hugged him, and it was so touching. And then we sat Gerald Wilson down and interviewed him for like a half an hour.
Hi, I'm Joe Kabbalah, friend of Jim Merod's now for about 14 years. I am president of Kabbalah Sosna Research. We're the manufacturers of cables for high-end audio systems. And it was that job, if you will, that career that brought Jim and I together. Jim was the maven for cables for a friend who we were looking to place our cables with. And he told me that I must visit his cable expert before he would accept our line in his store. That turned out to be Jim Merod. So I made a call to Jim, we got together, and actually hit it off immediately. Jim's an easy guy to like. He's talkative, friendly, informative, and welcoming is the best way I can say it. Well, I mentioned that Jim invited me into his world of recordings. And so we've done a lot of things together in Southern California. We've done things together in New York City. We've done things together in Chicago. And we had one really marvelous trip to Budapest, Hungary, where we spent 3 days recording a big band and the opening of a new jazz club, which was a significant event for Budapest, a new jazz club in downtown Budapest. So yeah, I've had the wonderful opportunity to do many different projects with Jim in quite a few different places. From the angle of jazz and recording, Jim has been into music since kindergarten days. He traveled east, grew up in St. Louis, and traveled east to Princeton University, and immediately found his way to the jazz clubs of New York City. Because he had listened to so much jazz, he had to sort of visit the mecca where those things were recorded and made. And from that time forward, he befriended musicians, the club owners, and began to record all the great acts. I mean, I don't care who you want to think about, whether it's Miles or Bill Evans or any of the greats, Jim has worked with them. And that led him to basically become the music director for a few different jazz clubs in Boston and San Diego. And through that, he became the producer of music. He brought together acts to play in his clubs, and today that means SOKA University with the Jazz Monster series. And so Jim met and interacted with all the great musicians from the time we can think about the late 50s on, and he's befriended them. They stay at his house. They spend the night together after gigs that Jim's recorded. And he let me into that world, so I'm forever grateful to him for that.
The first time ever I kissed your mouth, I felt the earth move with my
I'm Jim Merod here at SOKA University. I'm with my friend Francisco Lopez, the world famous Pancho, the crazy, beautiful videographer. We've had a great weekend.
Awesome.
Pancho's been down here for my SOKA University Blueport Jazz Festival. Trio de Posh, Friday night, Saturday night, Saturday afternoon with Mausha Adnei and Claudio Raditi. Jeffrey Keyser just had an ensemble that featured the amazing Joe Laughlin vibes. Last weekend when I was at Monterey, I met Pancho doing his artistic thing, gathering in information and visuals to make sense out of the 59th Monterey Jazz Festival. And he and his camera overheard a conversation that I had with Quincy Jones. It's that way that Pancho and I came to meet each other in the artist bar of the Hyatt Lodge down the street from the fairgrounds. We've been together off and on pretty much the whole of the last week, gotten to know each other. It's wonderful to have somebody of Pancho's artistic hipness bring his cameras, do photography, do film, and dig the music. I guess as I look at jazz and I look at what Tim Jackson's been doing at the Monterey Jazz Festival for, 25 years? I don't remember how many years. And what I do on a smaller scale here at SOKA is not just try to preserve jazz as much as anyone can work to preserve it, but to foster in younger people here at the university and elsewhere a knowledge of the traditions of jazz for 100 years or more that are easily swamped, eviscerated by a popular culture that is constantly moving to a new genre, new artists, different kinds of songs, vibes, and leaving behind, almost unexplored, and certainly this has been happening increasingly in the last 20 years or so in America, where the Louis Armstrong legacy and Duke and Count and Bird and the others become almost academic and a footnote to, well, the ancient past or to some obscure history. Jazz is a vital and living art. Tim Jackson knows that, I know that, and anybody who loves jazz knows that. And in trying to preserve jazz, one is not trying to make an archive of memorabilia or memories or footnotes to history. One is trying to preserve the legacy as a living, vital, changing legacy where new composers, new songwriters, new musicians come in learning the past, inspired by the past, but also able to use that with their sense of the present moment to refresh jazz in ways that are, well, exciting, ear-opening, sometimes even euphoric. So, being here at SOKA, doing what I'm doing, like what Tim is doing up there, and next year is the 60th anniversary of the great Monterey Jazz Festival, I'd have to say that an old guy like me, a youngster like Tim, inevitably feel lucky to be in trenches like this, where we can play some part. Mine's smaller than Tim's, but I think they're all important to allow the greatest musical art form in the history of humanity to thrive.